Welcome to a pivotal moment in the world of broadcast as we proudly present the Men's Mental Health Show featuring the renowned Larry Mabry in collaboration with the Maassen Group. This essential exploration of men's mental health wouldn't be possible without the invaluable support of RainerAvenueRadio.world. Now, let's dive into this crucial conversation with Larry Mabry and the Maassen Group. Your mental well-being matters. Here's Larry Mabry.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, guys? Welcome to this November 24th as we prepare for the Thanksgiving holiday. I want to wish you guys, for those people who celebrate, happy Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving for those people who get caught up with that. A couple of things I want to talk to you guys about today. First off, 25 different types of ways to take care of yourself. So 25 ways of self-care. So self-types of routines, self-care routines, things that we can look at within ourselves to kind of take care of ourselves. Okay, 25 self-care routines for men during the holiday season. Okay, so as we look into this particular time of the year, a lot of times we're running around trying to grab things for family members, loved ones, for ourselves. And as I deal with a lot of clients, I ask myself, what are you doing to take care of yourself, right? So being mindful of self-care, what does that look like? And I've had some clients say, man, you know what, bro, could you give me some pointers? I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah. And I say, you know what, maybe I could just compile a list and we could talk about that. And so today I wanted to kind of address that. So number one, the first thing we want to do, and they don't necessarily have to do in this order, but these are just things that you can just be mindful of for yourself. Morning stretch routine, really important. Sometimes you get up, you might hear some cracking and popping. It might be good to just kind of loosen up the joints, right? Get the lymphatic system flowing. That's helpful. A lot of times you just kind of get a release from a good night's rest, just kind of get the joints kind of moving. You feel a lot better. That's something you can get caught up with. Stretching, push-ups, moving the joints and that type of thing. Really good. Strength training or calisthenics is really important too. Getting in tune with your body, very, very important. Walking, moving your body, that does a lot of benefit as far as releasing of emotional types of things, but also just showing yourself self-care. Daily walks, I've talked about that before. We have this beautiful state here in Washington, so many places we can go to get caught up with walking. Or, I was just talking to a friend of mine and she was just saying, you know what, man, I've been eating really good and I'm getting bigger. What are some things you would recommend for me to get in shape? And the first thing I said was, go for a walk. And she's like, but I don't have time with the kids and the job and the family. And I said, when you come home after a long day's work, before you even go to the house, maybe walk around the corner, maybe walk up to the street and come back. Just create a different pattern, right? Before you just kind of come home to go directly into the house, go to the restroom or go and get something to eat. Create like a just different pattern, right? And so by doing that, you'll set up a different way to take care of self-care. Another one, hydration check-in. For those people, I have here this water bottle. Maybe get a water bottle and make sure you stay hydrated. Keep water flowing, really, really important. And let me tell you why. During this time of year, a lot of times it gets colder and we don't realize that, we still let go of fluids. So we got to make sure we stay hydrated. Really, really important. And just the fact that you're filling up, you're taking the water, and you're getting so much water in, that's going to help you think a lot clearer. Okay. Another one too, balanced holiday meals, mindful portions, really important. A lot of times, mom makes a really good turkey or grandmother may make the that good old stuffing or the macaroni and cheese. And I know for me, man, I would always get caught up and overeat. So making sure you have mindful portions, okay? Limit the alcohol intake, really, really important. Prioritize sleep hygiene. We notice outside it starts getting dark a lot quicker. Making sure you take naps, making sure you go to bed early. When you get up in the morning, you're gonna feel a lot more rested. Really important. Also, too, as far as the sleep hygiene, try to have a consistent bedtime. That makes a big difference too. Steam room or sauna, that's important too. Sometimes you just need to kind of, sit down in a nice little area and just kind of get your lymph flowing, get rid of some things, stay for a few minutes, go back. Cold showers or contrast therapy is important. I was talking to a friend of mine, they talked about something called the stretch lab. And for those people that don't know, it's an area where you go and you stretch yourself out, and you have a person like a trainer, and they kind of help stretch you out. And they expressed some things about it, which I thought was really important. They talked about how they released some of the emotions, things they were going through, some of the areas that they were a little tight in. The person kind of helped them push through that. Really, really important. Or if you don't have the opportunity to go to Stretch Lab, maybe you get different types of machines, or you can get those bands, elastic bands, stretch with the bands. That's really powerful too, right? Stretching kind of helps too. Regular medical checkup, that's important. Constantly going to the doctor, making sure everything's good. If they say, hey, you know what, you need to try this particular regimen, try that, and then maybe 6 months or so, check back in and see how that works out. That's going to keep you accountable. Also, mental health and emotional health. Journaling, a gratitude reflection, really, really important. Why is that important? Well, we create what we think about. And so if you focus on creating a gratitude journal, or you reflect on things you're grateful for. For example, I'm grateful to our friend Daniel. It's been really beneficial to help me out with this. Also, Tony, the owner here, Rainier Avenue Radio, appreciate them. Appreciate a lot of individuals as far as clients, as well as organizations I work with. Really, really important. Sometimes it's important to stop and acknowledge things because we can take it for granted really easily, right? Another thing, meditation and breath work practice. That's important too. And so a lot of times you got to breathe through things, you get triggered, take a deep breath, count 3, 1, 2, 3, let it go. I'll recommend doing that 2 or 3 times, put you in the now moment, and then allow you to kind of process that particular thing that may have triggered you. Meditation kind of recalibrates your neural pathways, as well as to allow you to not stick with that particular thing, right? But you practice your brain with that. And for those people that don't know, basically meditation is what basically you sit, breathe, close your eyes. Your mind may wander, and in that moment, you just sit there, just be still, and just focus on your breathing, and just kind of notice what some thoughts and things that come up. Also, I did this with a client, and it was very powerful. A digital detox. And what does that look like? Well, we have our phones. We have a lot of technology around us. And I would say try to limit it. I know with a lot of jobs, a lot of occupations we have, we got to use our technology. But I think it's really important to kind of detox from it. What I've been working on myself is before I go to bed is to make sure I don't have my phone near my head, and put it in an area where I'm not quick to grab it. Really important. Give your mind an opportunity to kind of rest. I think when we have phones and things in our face all the time, our brain kind of gets into like a hyperdrive mode. And so I feel like if we put the phone down, or we take the technology away for, X hours or so many times per day or hours per day, we can kind of retrain our brain and focus on other things, right? Things like cooking, gardening, things to deal with nature, I think is really, really important. Or even going for walks. Also, too, therapy or counseling sessions. You can also tap in with myself, the Maassen Group 1@gmail.com. Very, very important. I think that's important because what I notice is when you talk to somebody that's coming from a different point of view, that can kind of help give you different insight. But also, too, you might need a safe space where you can kind of express yourself and feel like you're being supported. But there might be some strategies that you might need, right? So maybe you're struggling with something and the people around you can't quite help you get over that. So the benefit of that is if you talk to a counselor or a therapist, they can kind of help support you with coming up with strategies to get through that. Reading for pleasure or growth, really important. Sometimes, when you read, you're able to release, you're able to see things from a different point of view. You can extend your vocabulary, your vernacular, because you're learning different words. That's a good self-care type of thing, right? Finding some things that you like to read is going to help for your pleasure, going to help with your growth. Also, some of the goals that you're trying to aspire towards. Number 6, practice affirmations, positive affirmations, I would say, but it could be whatever affirmations you want. And these are things to kind of help you affirm the new type of way that you want to be, or solidify the way that you are being. Really, really important. The next one, setting boundaries with family and work, really important. I think, I know for me personally, when you have roommates or you grow up in a family and it's so tight knit, you have to kind of learn when you're on your own to set those boundaries. And it's important because sometimes, you end up doing for family to the point where you kind of don't give to yourself. And if you grow up in that situation, you think that's normal. And so it's important to kind of set those boundaries to make sure that you're honoring yourself every day, right? Really, really important. Another one, limit news, social media exposure. Really, really important, because a lot of times you look at the news, you look at social media. Remember, social media, their goal is to do what? Is to basically entice you, to get you to buy something, right? Or to get you interested in some things that are going on, right? Or if you talk to some people, it's like you're dealing with just different people's egos and just they're trying to show off or that type of thing, right? But I think if you kind of limit that, it gives you an opportunity to kind of fine tune some areas of your growth for yourself, and then kind of work through that. Also, too, this is a really, really important one. Listening to calm music or podcasts, really, really important. For those people who are students, or if you are transitioning in a job, or let's say you got a job where you're driving, listening to a good podcast or listening to a calming podcast, that's one way to kind of give to yourself. It's going to give you some good ideas. Creates a safe space. And also, too, you usually feel better because you've learned something different that you may not have known prior to listening. The next one, practicing forgiveness and letting go. Really, really important. A lot of times, when we have certain types of things that we're feeling regarding our family members or loved ones, or just certain friends and foes and things of that nature, when we are not forgiving ourselves, unfortunately, what happens is it binds us more to that situation. So when we forgive ourselves, we let it go, it actually opens up our mind where we have more bandwidth so we can take in more things that we appreciate, right? But if we have these things on that we're waiting, that like the weights of forgiveness or not letting go of the past, it doesn't really open up our brain the capacity to take in new information. And so a lot of times we feel overwhelmed because we have this weight that we're carrying around, and we're trying to kind of coexist in the world, but we can't really go very far because we're like pushed to the limit. And so when we forgive, we let go, what happens is we let go of that blanket, we let go of that weight, we feel lighter. And then guess what? We want to venture off and grow into different areas. So really, really important to make sure we let go. Forgiving ourselves is best, because not only are we forgiving the other individual, but we're also forgiving ourselves, and then we're letting go to open up ourselves for more things to come in. Another thing too, social and relationship care. For men specifically, attending men's circle support groups, that's important. I think it's important to make sure that you can network with like-minded individuals. That's going to give you different ideas. It's going to give you different points of view. Also, too, encouragement. A lot of times when you communicate with different individuals and you get in different circles, you're seeing, oh, okay, this person, they're encouraging me, or I have somebody kind of help hold me accountable, right? Because maybe this person in the circle, they overcame a challenge that I'm going through, or maybe I have some knowledge in this particular space and I can help someone in the circle kind of overcome, right? And so you kind of hold each other accountable. And I would say typically when you're around people, you build that camaraderie. You kind of feel like you're part of a team, part of a unit, and it just kind of helps you. Also, too, calling a friend just to connect, right? When's the last time you checked in with a friend, right? A lot of times it's like you go on with life. Like I said, we're in the holiday season. You think about, okay, let me get this from your friend, but just hit them up like, yo, check in. I implore you right now to think about like a friend that you haven't talked to in a while, and just send them a text, say, yo, what's up, man? I'm just checking in with you. And just see, they're gonna be like, whoa, that's what's up. And I want to share this with you too. You never know what a person's going through. So if they're on your mind, and you feel it on your heart to kind of reach out to them, I would encourage it, because you never know, you could be saving a person's life. And so just check in on people and just say, hey, I care enough about you just to check in. But also too, a lot of times just you feeling good to just leave a message. It's like you're reaffirming the fact that you have value, you value the people in your life. Okay, really another one is really important. Volunteering in a community. It could be a part of a church, part of a nonprofit, part of an organization. That's important. That's going to help you with the relationship care. Hosting a small gathering with intention. Different birthday events, things of that nature. I think that's important. Practicing active listening and conversations, and that's really important. And I gave some clues to kind of help people out with that. Active listening is basically when someone's talking, what you're doing is you're actively engaged in the conversation, but you're listening to what they're saying. And one strategy that I'll recommend is when you're listening to somebody talk, first of all, you pay attention to them. So you put down your phone, your technology, that type of thing. If you can, you look them in their eye, or you create a presence, you create a space to let them know that at this moment, they're the most important person in the world, right? What do you think it's going to help you do? It's gonna help you feel really good, but also it's going to encourage and uplift that person, and it's going to solidify the relationship too. And then you just kind of just sit there and just listen, right? And then at the end of their particular conversation, you may want to ask certain questions based on what they're shared, right? A person feels really good when you ask them questions because that lets them know that you were attentive and you show interest, right? But also be sincere. Really important. Don't just ask questions just to ask questions, right? Another thing too, make sure that you show appreciation to your loved ones, right? When's the last time you told your parents, hey, you know what, mom, dad, I appreciate you, right? Your siblings, your children, think about something that they did that made you really feel good, and just focus on that for a minute and maybe call them up and just say, I just want to say I appreciate you always sending me both birthday cards. Or you're just on my mind. I just want to say I love you, I appreciate you, and just thank you, right? The reason why that's important is, again, like I said earlier, what you put out comes back. So if you show appreciation, what do you think is going to come back to you? More appreciation. But the key, though, with all these particular self-care routines is you got to do it from your heart. You can't do it from a place of just, oh, I'm just doing it just to try it. I mean, it's cool to be creative. It's cool to be open to try to do different things. Really important. However, you want to make sure you do it from a heart, right? Because the universe is picking up on your heart. It's not picking up on just random actions. Another thing too, scheduling quality time with your children or your partner. Now, you already know if somebody hits you up and say, you know what, let's plan a time, let's plan a date at this time, this date, that person feels like you separated your schedule for that individual. That's going to make them feel like $1 million. It's going to make you feel like $1 million. And it's going to solidify the relationship. But also, too, it's just showing that you honor that person, right? And that's important. Really important. Okay. All right. What's another one? Saying no to draining commitments. That's something I'm really working on myself. But at the end of the day, certain things you got to cut off. And you may say, why? Well, there's only 24 hours in a day, right? So you figure you got 24 hours in a day. You got typically 8 hours of sleep, and you got 16 hours left. Of those 16 hours, how many hours are you sleeping? So 8 hours, let's say sleeping. 16 hours left. Okay, of the 16 hours, how many hours are you actually eating? So let's say breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So let's say 3 hours, right? An hour apiece, right? If you're cooking the food, that might be 1 to 2 hours apiece, depending on the preparation, washing the dishes, getting stuff situated, ingredients, things of that nature. So let's say 6 hours. So of those 6 hours, then let's say you're working. So now you got 10 hours. You probably work, an 8-hour workday, right? So, okay, so now you got that. So now you got 2 hours left, right? What are you doing at that time? Right? Thinking about it. And obviously you got to go to the restroom. You might have to take care of certain errands. You might need to go for a walk, the gym, things of that nature. So we put that in there. So let's say you put, hour in if you go to the gym, but it depends on how far it is, right? It might be an hour and a half, right? Because you got to take a shower or whatever afterwards, right? I mean, we look throughout the day, and the day can get really, really heavy. It's going to mean a lot if people just, you hit a person up and just say, hey, I'm going to need to kind of shut this down and make sure I honor myself, right? Because you're showing that you value yourself. Okay. Reaching out to somebody who may be lonely, right? Maybe or like realize a friend of yours lost a loved one. Maybe hit them up. Hey, I was just checking in on you. Maybe a friend of yours is going through something. Just, hey, I'm just checking in on you. Just touching base. Make sure you're good. We're in the holiday season, so it's good to kind of reach out in the community and just say, hey, just thinking about you. What's up? Maybe if you go out shopping for the holiday season, maybe purchase some things for that person. Personally, what I recommend, if you haven't done this, is try to create something for somebody. So it could be something you make. It could be something you do with your hands. It could be something you bake. I personally think that those are the coolest gifts, right? If you can have the opportunity to do it. That's another one too. Creative and playful rituals that you could do during to show self-care. Cooking, really, really important. I've been working on that myself. Baking, I like to bake. Trying a new hobby, woodworking, painting, music, playing the guitar, playing a different instrument. I want to talk about the benefits of that too. So when you're playing and doing something different, what happens is there's parts of your brain that light up because you're learning a new skill, right? And what's cool about that is you constantly learn that new skill. What happens is it connects with like the old type dendrites and that, and it makes you become smarter actually, because you're able to apply some things that you learned from the past, but then you kind of form new dendrites because you're learning something new, right? And it keeps you kind of like on the precipice of life, like the creative side of life, right? So you don't ever want to become stagnant. But also it keeps life interesting, right? I noticed that when I was a kid that I was more open. I still kind of have that part of me that I like to learn different things, but you notice like the kids have that wonder. Well, it's because of creativity. Like they're constantly learning something. So it puts you in what I like to call a beginner's mind. What makes you a little bit more humble. It makes you a little bit more open. You're apt to take more risk, but within reason. You're trying to figure it out. But it's also exciting, right? So there's a balance with that. Also too, decorating with a personal message. So it could be with the holidays. Sometimes people are doing stuff with their trees. They're doing stuff with their property. They may do stuff with their vehicles, things of that nature. So decorating, or it could be like a personal message, like maybe a card. Maybe people are taking pictures. They're sending it personal messages that way. Exploring natural photography. That's always cool. Build something with your purse, with a friend, or with your hands. That's important. A DIY project, do-it-yourself project. Dancing freely to your favorite songs. I think that's important. I was just talking to my roommate about that. Like to dance and do some different things. I think an old school song came on and we just kind of got caught up, so it's exciting to give to yourself in that way, right? Freedom of movement. Creating a vision board for the new year. Think about some goals that you want to accomplish next year. Practicing humor and lightheartedness, really, really important, right? Why is that important? Well, life is so short and it's really easy for us to take it for granted. And so I think it's important to just laugh, right? Have some fun with it, because it's so short. Like we're not promised tomorrow. If you went through something, sometimes you got to laugh at it. It just helps you kind of think of the world from a different point of view, right? And when you're able to laugh at yourself, I think it kind of gives you this, I don't know, just exciting, fun type of lifestyle, right? Where it's like no matter what happens, you pretty much are going to have a fun attitude towards it, creative attitude towards it, and you realize that you also have the creative means to kind of get through the challenge. Okay. All right, a couple more, and we'll be wrapping up here shortly. A spiritual reflective practice would be good to show self-care. Would be like a prayer, spiritual study. Sometimes people, they have certain things that they do, like a sacred space. And in that sacred space, basically, it's just your God, universe, with whoever you serve. I think that's important. Nature, nature immersions. That could be going in the forest, a walk, a beach visit, honoring, the universe and nature. breath focused mind work or mindfulness before meals. I think that's important. Practicing generosity, really, really important. So you can donate to an organization like myself, or a nonprofit, or a friend, or a loved one, or a next door neighbor. Acts of service, right? What are you doing to show that you care about somebody, right? Whatever you do comes back. So if you give, it comes back to you. Practice silence for a set time of the day. And so this is important. So you can sit down, if you're having a really busy day, and say, okay, for 5 minutes, I'm just going to sit here, breathe, and just contemplate, right? Really important. And just set the timer and just figure out, okay, what are some things you notice with that? Okay. All right. Okay, guys, we didn't get through all of them today, but I think we covered quite a few. So real quick, I want to say, we know that we have the holidays coming up this week. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week, there'll be no particular radio shows because of, guess what? The holidays, Thanksgiving. Also, too, make sure you guys show some love for the next person coming up, Dr. Tracy Harrell, Living Better, Living Powerfully, and Living Together. Make sure you guys show some love to her. Looking forward to seeing how that's going to roll out. And also, too, I want to say thank you to you guys. Appreciate you guys tapping in with me today. It's been about almost a year journey, a little bit over a year. Appreciate you guys rocking. I see some people kind of throw some comments out there. I see a couple people there. So thank you for that. What are some things that you guys want to hear more about, right? So think about that. Let me know. Do you think this is beneficial as far as self-care? Is self-care even important, right? Think about that. What are some things that we could talk about moving forward as we move into December and January for the new year, right? What are some things you're noticing with men's mental health is really important, right? Make sure you tap in, show somebody you love somebody. Make sure you give yourself, a little bit of pat on the back, a little bit of affirmation. Make sure you're saying some positive things about yourself every day. Really, really important. And I want to say, guys, without further ado, peace, and I'll see you guys next week.